Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be the start of a reading vlog. I have been an audiobook fiend this month. It is currently November. I don't know when this is going to end up going out, so I'm just giving you for reference. It is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. For November, Hoopla actually has going on their bonus borrows. So what that is for the month of November, you can check out books without using any of your credits. So essentially they're free audiobooks. I mean, Hoopla's free anyway because you just plug in your library card and you can get whatever the library catalog has available. But again, you're limited to 6 things, and that includes you can get movies, music, TV shows, books, audiobooks, ebooks, whatever. So I decided to go through their list of audiobooks on their bonus borrow list. So I ended up picking out 4 romance novels, none of which I heard of. I have heard of these authors. 3 out of the 4 I've heard of the authors, but I don't know the book specifically. The first one, which is the longest one, is Empire of Lust by J.L. Beck. Now, I have not read any J.L. Beck, but I am familiar with them. I know the name. So this one is actually part 1, book 1 of the Torio Empire series. And they do have all 3 books available to borrow on Hoopla, but the first one is costs no credit to me. So this one is, I guess it's Mafia. Let's see. So at 16 years old, I fell for the wrong man. Callum Torio. I love the name Callum. A ruthless billionaire, dangerous villain. Ooh, my best friend's father. Yes, please. I'm already hooked on this. That's what got me. Best friend's father. At 21, I gave up hope that he would ever notice me. He's 20 years older than me and an arms dealer for the mob. We got age gap. We got best friend's dad. We got mob. These are all of my buzzwords right here, just in that beginning part of it. Next, I have a Piper Lawson book. Again, an author I've heard of, but I'm not familiar with. This one is Crave, which I think it's part of the Off Limits series. And according to this, it's book 2 in the series. The first one is Tempt. I don't know. According to like the order on my Hoopla, Tempt is the first one, and then Crave is the second. But I think the same couple is in the 3, as in the 2 after that. Collide and Claimer is also that same couple. But Crave we have first. This one is Professor Student, so another age gap. The man from the club is my new professor, but he wasn't when he kissed me. She's a ballet dancer named Olivia. Learns her perfect boyfriend has been cheating. She takes stage at a racy club. Dancing away her frustrations is thrilling and dangerous. Her wild fantasy threatens to land her in more trouble until mysterious, gorgeous Sawyer rescues her in the parking lot. This kind of reminds me of, what is that? Is it Carrie? No, Fiona Cole. Voyeur. I think that was a similar trope. I think it was Professor Student, and she ends up getting a job at like a kink club or something like that, and then he ends up being her professor. Reminds you a little bit of that. But one mistake quickly becomes 2. On the first day of class, Olivia learns Sawyer isn't only the man she stayed up with all night, but he's her new professor. Book 3 I have sounds really fun, and this is an author I have not heard of. I have Fluffy by Julia Kent. I think this is going to be hilarious. So our heroine is a professional fluffer, but not fluffer like a porno fluffer. She stages homes. She works for real estate, and she does this home staging for like when they do their photos and their open houses and stuff like that. But she, I guess, loses her job and then finds an ad for a professional fluffer on Craigslist and thinks it's the perfect job until she realizes it's a fluffer for, like a porno job. And it sounds like so fun. So our hero is her high school crush. And he owns the house where they're filming this porno. illegally. They're filming it illegally. It's a vacation rental. By the time the cops show up, what I thought was just a great house staging gig turned into a nightmare involving pictures of me with an undressed star, while rescuing me from an arrest and a humiliating lesson in my own naivete. My job turned out to be so much harder than I expected. It sounds like it's going to be so funny. And Erin Mallon is the narrator, which I love. I really like her narration. So it's a romantic comedy, and it sounds like it's going to be a great time. And it's part of the Do-Over series. And this is like book 4 in that series. Erin Mallon narrates all of them. So Little Miss Perfect, Hasty, Feisty, Fluffy, and Perky are all of the books in that series. But it sounds like a good time. The last book that I have is Marnie Mann, Before You. Again, another about 7-hour audiobook. This is a contemporary romance and a devastating examination of the things we find, the things we make, and the things we lose. It was supposed to be a typical work trip, New York to San Francisco, window seat, exit row. Then seat 14B sits down. When our eyes met, the flight became anything but routine. I could pinpoint the moments in my life where everything changed forever. Meeting Jared on that flight was first. Falling in love with him was second. Discovering the secrets he kept was third. Putting my broken self back together and forgetting what I learned would be difficult. Forgiving Jared would be impossible. He said before me nothing mattered, but after him nothing would ever be the same. So we also have Jason Clark and Virginia Rose are narrating. I love Jason Clark. Those are going to be the 4 books that I read for this vlog. Again, I don't know how long this is actually going to take me. I've been flying through audiobooks this past week at work specifically. I've just been like not in a mood to fraternize or like socialize with anybody, so I've been sticking my earbuds in and just listening to books all day, and usually getting through, if not a whole book, at least half to 3/4 of one in a shift. I don't know if I'll start any of these tonight. It's Saturday night. I don't work tomorrow. And it's kind of dumb of me to start this on a day where I'm not actually probably going to listen to them. But I did just finish literally right before. I was literally scrolling through Hoopla looking for books as I was finishing the current audiobook I was listening to. So I have them prepped and ready to go. I'm probably not going to listen. I don't know if I listen to any this weekend or not. I'm going to say probably not, because I do have books I still have to physically read. I usually try to save my audiobooks for specifically for work. But the one I just finished was so good that I had to finish it. I had read about half of it at work, and I had to finish it when I came home. So that was like those are like the exceptions to my rules. But yeah, so I will give you guys an update when I have something to say about one of them. Good morning. So I just want to show you guys the sunrise because I'm actually leaving work right now. I went in at 3 a.m. today, which is typical for me on a Tuesday, but I'm leaving. It's about 7 right now because both of my dogs have vet appointments at 7:30, so I'm actually going home to pick them up. But while I was at work this morning catching up on what I needed to do before I had to leave, I finished listening to Fluffy by Julia Kent. And it was so fun. So Fluffy was the one with she is a like house stager, but she uses an old term, which I guess they used to call them house fluffer. And in modern days, that's used as, a like porno term, a fluffer. So she answers a Craigslist ad of all things for a professional fluffer job, not realizing that they mean a porno fluffer. So she gets onto the set, and honestly, I think it takes her a little bit too long to realize this is not a house staging. Like, she gets on like this whole, like, I think she just actively wants to not believe this is what she walked into, because she's like, oh, it's a staging, and then she's like, oh, it's a cooking show because they talk about cream pie. So I think she just actively doesn't want to like believe this is what happened to her. But it's so funny, that beginning part, especially like the banter between back and forth with the guy, the quick wit that was written into this was so fun. I was just giggling to myself while I was listening to this. And then a funny thing, it turns out, so of course it's a romance, so we have to have a love interest. The love interest is actually the guy who owns the house, and he like rented it out as like an Airbnb. Didn't realize that they were shooting a porno in his house, and then finds out and crashes the whole thing. Like, the cops show up, it's like a whole thing. So they reconnect. They were friends in high school. I guess not friends, but they like knew each other in high school growing up. There was like a deer crossing the road, and that's the last thing I need to do is hit a deer. But they knew each other in high school. She's always had this like crush on him forever, and he was always like, I think he was a jock or something. So of course they didn't run in the same circles. But now this is them reconnecting and realizing that like he did have interest in her back then, but just never acted. It was high school. So I think I'm gonna give it, I don't know, I want to say 4 stars. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. It was very light on the steam. There was no like spicy scenes until almost the very end. But they were well written. The narrator was great. I love a narrator that can do a deep enough voice to make the male sound more masculine. There are some narrators that I've listened to where like the way they do the male voice sounds really weird. And this was not a dual narration. This was just strictly from Mallory. That's her name, the heroine. Mallory's POV. But this was really cute, really fun. Because I do still have 3 books left to listen to for this video. So we'll see what I end up picking up next. So we're going to talk about, what did I just finish today? Before You by Marnie Mann. That is the book I read today. It was probably, I think, the shortest one on my list. I think I'm gonna give this one like 2.5. I think I gave it on Bookmori. I upped it to 3 on Goodreads. So I have all my notes on my freaking Bookmori app. I've been using Bookmori app, has like a notes section, so like you can write, like, I don't know if, I think on Goodreads if you put like comments and like people can see them, and I'm like, Bookmori, I just want to have like my own thoughts written down so I can like refer to them later. But of course they're on my phone, so hopefully I can remember what I wanted to say about it. But this one is, I'm not sure exactly what our hero does. He's like an investor. He's a businessman of some sorts, and our heroine is Billy, and she is a food critic, pretty much. She started in like college, just like on Instagram, rating foods in restaurants around her college, and then it kind of picked up from there and she made a career out of it. So she ends up getting invited to a restaurant opening, or a new restaurant in, I don't know, California or something like that. And she's from New York, I believe. So she gets on a flight and of course meets the guy who sits next to her, and the plane crashes. So her and the guy next to her, Jared, who is our love interest, I guess you could say, they have like this, we're going to be the last people we ever see or talk to sort of situation. So they have a connection from that. They kind of start a romance from then on. Like they keep in touch. The romance was just like, I wasn't feeling it. It was, and I really got, like, he was fine in like the first 40% of the book. And then you start to get halfway in and you start to like realize that there's something about him that is like off-putting. There's something just not right about him, and like you realize that he's lying to her. Like, this is on, like, he explains like he's lying to her and he's gonna break her heart, but you don't exactly know why until like the end of the book, or toward the end of the book. And let me just say, what he lied to her about and what he kind of like manipulated, I don't want to say manipulated, but he definitely like used her for his own personal gain, while knowing this thing that she didn't know. And I'm just like, I don't know about this, because he was still like, they were still hooking up. He was letting her fall in love with him, even though he would kept saying like, oh, I'm gonna break it up with her, like it's just gonna end in disaster, like, I need to end it. So it was a little bit like he was leading her on a lot. And at the ending you find out there's also it's a dual POV. So we get Jared's POV and you get Billy's, but you also get it's also a dual timeline. So we get a past POV of a character named Honey, and it's not revealed till later on, like who this person is, because they are all like interconnected, but it's not revealed till a little bit later on who this person is. But in Honey's POV, there are triggers in there for infertility and miscarriage, so just be aware of that going in. But so you have Honey's story of her and her husband going through this process of they fall in love, and they're trying to get pregnant, and it just isn't happening, and she's constantly not able to carry babies to term. But eventually you learn like the significance of their story in comparison to the present day. And I will just say that it's well written. The story was enjoyable. I have nothing against the author. I think that was my first Marnie Man I ever read. It was a good like twist, but I honestly think the couple, they were together by the end. Like, it was obviously going for an HEA, but like, I honestly don't think that couple would have lasted more than a year or two. I really don't, because especially when she finds out his secret, I don't know how okay she would be with that. And then there's a scene that we didn't get to see, and I think would have been really, really important to see. I think the book should have actually been a little bit longer, and they should have had this. I mean, I don't know how exactly how that could have done, but like, there was I think a meeting that needed to happen, for it to be easier to like make, I guess, I don't know what to say, to like, I guess, have me accept more that this couple is going to be like endgame, you know, because I feel like there was some unresolved issues there. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to give spoilers away, but if you've read this book, I think it came out in like 2019. If you read this book, you know what I'm talking about. And let me know if you feel the same way, because the hero was not, I don't think he was redeemable. I think his secret was if he would have been upfront with her from the very, very beginning, I honestly don't, it might have been better. I think if she would have learned sooner who he was, it would have been better for their arc, for her like coming to terms and them getting like over that hump, and then bringing in this other thing that I feel like should have happened on page, because it literally ends with them being like, oh, I need to do this, and it's gonna happen, but we don't get to see it happen. And I'm just like, I'd rather get to see it happen and see the outcome of this. I'm being super, super vague. So sorry. But this is literally the end of the book, and I don't want to give spoilers away. So I was a little bit disappointed in it. The writing was really good. The story was good. I didn't like the romance. I wasn't feeling it at all. And I did not like the male hero. Not so much. I think he was a little bit shady, to be honest. But yeah, so that was the second book I read for this vlog. Right now it's Wednesday night. It is the Wednesday before tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So I am actually cooking. I am baking right now. I made these like lemon almond cookies, but I think my baking powder, my baking soda is super old. So even though they were like balls, they all completely flat. Did y'all see that? My power just went out. Anyway, my cookies are flat, so they'll still taste okay. And there's a nice crunchy outside. They're soft in the middle, but they didn't rise. So I'm pretty sure it's because my baking powder, my baking soda is like really old. Like really old. I couldn't tell you when I last bought it. So yeah. So I just made these tonight. I have to make an apple pie, which I think I made in a video last year for Thanksgiving or Christmas. But I'm making that same one for tomorrow. And it's only 4:30 right now. I could stop. I don't know if I want to make it tonight and leave it sit if I should make it tomorrow. I might make it tomorrow morning because I think we're not eating till like 1 o'clock. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So the next book I'm going to read, I think, is Crave by Piper Lawson. I don't remember what the synopsis is, but that's going to be the next one. That's like the next one of the shorter ones. I think it's like 7 hours. So I'll read that one and then give you my thoughts on that. And then we can get on to the last book. Good morning. So we are back. It is currently the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So I don't know if anyone did any Black Friday shopping. I did online Black Friday shopping. I do not like going out on Black Friday. I had to work, but I work like thankfully not with the general public on Black Friday, because I used to before I moved up the ranks and moved around and put my position. And I hated it. And I hate going out on Black Friday, and I can't stand the people, and we'll leave it at that. But today, it's Saturday, so if you're a vegan or vegetarian, I would recommend not watching this because I am neither. I love my meat. So this is the turkey carcass from Thanksgiving, along with the veggies and stuff that was cooked in it. So we're going to make soup today. I actually did print out a recipe last time, because I usually make it, like if I have a rotisserie chicken or like an oven roaster, I will boil the carcass down to make chicken soup. And the first time I've done it the last 2 times without a recipe. Shout out to the Try Guys. And the first time turned out pretty good. The second time was a bit of a disaster. It was mostly because I kind of fell asleep and wasn't paying attention and overcooked things. So it didn't turn out, it tasted all right, but it still was not, it was like a mushy mess. So this time I did print out a recipe. So the whole reason I came on here was to update you guys. I did not finish a book, but I did start the third book for this, which was Crave by Piper Lawson. I started it at work yesterday, and I will tell you that I was a little bit distracted because it was Black Friday, so I spent a lot of time on my phone, scrolling through Black Friday stuff and on Instagram looking for anyone posting new deals. But from what I can gathered about this is a professor student. So she is at a club with her friends. It's like amateur night or something. And they have a dancing competition event. You can go home with money or something like that. So her friend wants to enter and ends up getting stage fright or something at the last minute. And then our heroine, who I can't remember her name, Olivia, ends up seeing her boyfriend with some girl all over his face. And she gets pissed off and upset, so she takes the stage. And I guess she was a dancer at some point. I missed that little bit about she could dance, but she ends up winning. And then she locks eyes with this hot guy that's sitting across from the bar. And I'm just this is a little bit cliche, but yeah, they have this he pretends to be her boyfriend or whatever, while her actual boyfriend and his buddies are walking by. I don't know, it's a whole thing. And then she finds out the next day that one of her professors recently passed away. He ends up being her new, I think his name's Sawyer, the new professor for the class. So that's about as far as I got, about 30% into it so far. And it's interesting. I will say it reminded me, the beginning part especially reminded me of Voyeur, where they meet at a kink club, and then she finds out he's her teacher. And that one I gave 3 stars. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just the professor student thing just doesn't do it for me or what, because age gap for sure, forbidden absolutely. I love Birthday Girl, is one of my absolute favorites. Any kind of age gap I really love. But I don't know specifically teacher student. I don't know if it's just because I think they essentially have the same formula. At least the ones I've read so far are pretty much the same formula. They meet over the summer or before school starts, and then all of a sudden they're so surprised that either they find out they're in the same class. It's just this kind of it doesn't really go anywhere else. At least the ones that I've read. If you have other ones that are not quite like that, leave them down in the comments, because I would like to try some other formulas for them, for these kind of romances. Do you see? I just realized he's sitting in the window. There's Spanky. Hi. Yeah. Hello. Hello, sir. Yeah, so that's what I don't know if I'll listen to more of that today or I've been rewatching Grace and Frankie, and I think I have like a season left of that, and I've been also trying to catch up on YouTube, the YouTubers I watch. I'm like so behind as usual. So I don't know. We'll see what I end up feeling like doing, but I'm gonna go through this list of ingredients, see what I have, run to the store, and then get started on my soup. And I'll talk to you guys later. Let's talk about Crave by Paper Lawson. Sorry, my voice is echoey. I'm at work right now, but I just finished listening to it, and I think I'm only gonna give it like 3 stars. It was still like very, I mean, it picked up a little bit when I got to focus on like actually paying attention to it, but it still was very like cliche. I thought it was older. I thought it was published like way before it was. It was published in like 2021, I believe, is when it was done. And like, it read definitely earlier than that. So, I don't know. I love age gap. Like, it's one of my favorite tropes. But I really think that the teacher-student one, it's professor, sorry, it is college age. The professor-student one just like doesn't really do it for me anymore. And also it ends on a cliffhanger. And it was just like the cliffhanger was like, I didn't really care enough to pick up, because I think it's a trilogy. There's 3 books that follow the same characters, and then it moves on to a different character. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't care enough to continue reading on. So I need like, and this one was very like, it definitely felt like a first book, because you didn't really get to see a ton of their relationship, and there's just starting to get like drama, like she discovers something about him that would be essentially probably be the 3rd act. If it was a full-length novel, it would be like a 3rd act breakup. And yeah, and it just kind of, she discovers this thing, and then like I don't know if they break up, but like they're having like a moment, and then something happens, and then like the book ends right there. And I'm just like, okay, like that's it. But like I don't care enough to like continue with the next one. And she also had a very like, her parents were very like, they wanted her to be with this guy because he's just perfect for her, and if she doesn't amount to anything in life, like he's the one with like the money that could like, I guess like pay for her, and like that was the person like she would just, they want her to end up with this guy. Meanwhile, she's an engineering major in college. Like, and they're not okay with that. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get why being an engineering major is like, unless they really don't have any faith in their daughter to make a life for herself, which is kind of stupid. But yeah, so I was just kind of like, it was fine. It was a quick, like, easy listen for my time at work right now. That's pretty much all I have to really say on it. I don't really feel like continuing on with this series. I don't know if I think that was the first Piper Lawson I have ever listened to, and I don't know if there maybe is any others that I should dive into instead, because I'm like, I just don't care about this one or this couple really, like, at all. There was nothing that was very gripping about either one of them. Sorry, someone came in. And sorry if you hear my phone vibrating. I keep getting motion notifications. We just got a Blink camera to watch the dogs because they've been being destructive, and I need to catch to see who's doing it, and also you can talk through it so I could yell at them as well. I don't remember what I was saying. I totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, so that's the 3rd book of this reading vlog completed. So the next one is I can't remember the title of it, the J.L. Beck one, which also is the first book of a trilogy, and I do think it follows the same characters. So I'm assuming this one's probably gonna end on a cliffhanger too. That typically happens in books like this, in books that are first books of series. So we'll see if that one intrigues me more. I think that one's more mafia-esque. But yeah, so I don't know if I'll start that. I may actually start it right now. I've got a little bit of time that left in here before I have to go actually do my regular job.
So I may start listening to that.
Okay. So I finished Empire of Lust by J.L. Beck, and we're going to close out this vlog now after I talk about this because it's super long and I really need to edit it. I am going to give that 2 stars. The fact that I sat here and listened to the last 3 hours of that book, it was about an hour and a half of reading, so listening on 2 times speed, but just because I wanted to finish it. And I can tell you that I sat here and played solitaire and was just completely, I was paying attention, but like didn't care anymore. I could not stand this hero. The heroine didn't bother me. I mean, she did, but like the hero was just so controlling. He literally wanted to trap her with him by getting her pregnant. So he switched out her birth control pills for sugar pills. And the fact that he got his like bodyguard driver guy to go along with it and was like, what the fuck? It was a little bit insane. And the fact that he couldn't properly function if she wasn't nearby, because otherwise he'd constantly be worrying about what she was doing and where she was highly annoying. You are like a part of the mob and like in the mafia, and there was like, I couldn't have guessed that because I got none of that. I'm assuming there's going to be more of that in the coming books because it is 3, I believe 2 or 3 books. But like, even the way this ended, like there was this big reveal and I was just like, I just feel like it was kind of dropped on us. Like it didn't really make any sense to me. Like where this big gasping reveal came from. And I'm not going to continue on. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to save my time and another not good review and skip the rest of the series as well. And it felt like a very immature relationship. Like you are a grown-ass man screwing around with a 20-something-year-old girl who is your daughter's best friend. But meanwhile, when the daughter, because of course, you know, the daughter's eventually going to find out about it. There was just like, oh yeah, I knew that the whole time. What do you mean? Like there was this whole like, I mean, there's a whole thing that goes with that. So sorry if that sounds like that's a spoiler, but like, it just felt so kind of all over the place. And like, I mean, again, it's fiction, so it's not going to be like realistic, but I just was like, there ain't no way if I ever found out my best friend was screwing my dad, I wouldn't have a completely ick factor. She just seemed completely unfazed by it. And I was like, that does not seem realistic at all. And then we have like her ex-boyfriend who that whole thing too. I'm just like, this guy is like insane. Like, he's a little bit unhinged. We'll put it that way. Like, I understand. Like, we're going to go back to Haunting Adeline comparison because yes, Zayd literally killed for some man, or I don't remember if he killed him. He definitely cut his hands off for touching her. But like, there was more to it. It made sense for his character. I feel like there was a lot more telling than showing for the most part. Like, yeah, he was part of the mob, but like there was none of that in here. And I'm like, it made very little sense for him to go out shooting people and like reacting the way he did simply because he was so obsessed with this girl that he couldn't properly function. He was in like a meeting with some like big business person that he was just like, I don't even want to fucking be here because I can't remember what the girl's name was. He's like, where is she? Like, what is she doing? Like, my cock is hard. Like, I'm like, what is this? You can't even be a damn man and like take care of your shit. Like, it was a whole thing. I will say at the end of this, the way she reacted to finding out something that he did, I was like, yes, that is a smart move. That is something that you should be doing. But like, we all know that's not going to last long. I'm sorry, this was like all over the place, but it just like irritated the hell out of me, this book. And like I said before, I've read books with this similar trope where it was done perfectly fine and perfectly reasonably. It made sense for the character. This was just, I don't know, I couldn't. I loved my dark mafia romance, and I did not like this one. We'll put it that way. Because this was supposed to be like a mafia romance, a dark mafia romance, it had a higher expectation for it than I did some of the other stuff, the contemporary ones, and those expectations weren't met. Overall, I would say this vlog was entertaining. It was interesting. I got to listen to some books for free. I say free. I use Hoopla, which is free. All you use is your library card, but like I didn't have to use any of my monthly 6 credits that I get. So yeah, I got to listen to some books. I got to figure out some things I like and don't like. I mostly don't like in my romances that I listen to. So I learned a few things about my reading tastes, for sure. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know. Leave me some comments down below if you read any of these books, of what you thought of them. And I think all these authors were my first time ever reading their works. So if you have some other recommendations that might be better, leave them down in the comments below and I will absolutely check them out, especially if I can get them on Hoopla. And that's going to be it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.